Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel Maya's Classes and Podcast. I'm Emily, and I'm so happy to have you all listening today. I'm joined by my good friend and fellow student, John. How's it going, John?
Hey, Emily. I'm doing great, thanks for asking. I've been super busy with school lately, but I'm managing. How about you? How's everything on your end?
I hear you. School's been non-stop lately. I'm doing well, but yeah, I'm definitely feeling the pressure. But I'm really excited for today's conversation. We're going to talk about our college classes, what we're learning, how we're managing the workload, and some of the challenges we face. So, let's dive right in. John, what classes are you taking this semester?
Great question. This semester, I'm taking a pretty interesting mix of classes. I have a history class on ancient civilizations, a math class, and an English literature class. The history class is the one I'm enjoying the most, just because I've always had an interest in ancient cultures. The math class, though, it's a bit more of a struggle for me. I'm not the best at math, but I'm trying to keep up. And English literature is challenging in a different way. It's a lot of reading and analyzing, which takes time. What about you, Emily? What's on your plate this semester?
Sounds like a nice mix. For me, it's a little similar in terms of variety. I'm taking sociology, psychology, and philosophy. Sociology is definitely my favorite. It's all about understanding human society, behavior, and how social structures affect people's lives. I love discussing these ideas. But philosophy, oh man, I find it really tough. It's so abstract, and sometimes I feel like I'm just scratching the surface of what we're supposed to understand. I've been rereading a lot of the material, but it's still tough to wrap my head around some of the concepts.
Yeah, philosophy is no joke. I've taken a philosophy class before, and I definitely struggled with some of the ideas at first. But once you start thinking about the bigger questions, like what's the meaning of life or what defines reality, it can get really interesting, even if it's hard to understand at times. How are you managing that class?
It's definitely been a journey. I've been trying to break it down into smaller chunks. I'll read a section, then take a break and think about it, and then go over it again later. I also talk with some of my classmates, and that helps a lot. We have these deep discussions about the readings, and sometimes hearing different perspectives helps me understand the material better. What about you, John? Are you finding anything particularly challenging this semester?
Definitely. Like I said, math is a real challenge for me. It's just not my strong suit, but I can't avoid it because it's a required course. I've been doing everything I can to improve. I watch YouTube videos, practice problems, and I've even gone to a couple of study sessions. But there are still times when I feel really frustrated. The numbers just don't make sense, and it feels like no matter how much I study, I'm not getting the hang of it.
I totally get that. Math can feel like a language of its own sometimes, and it's easy to get discouraged when you don't understand something right away. But it's great that you're putting in the effort and finding different resources. I'm sure it'll click eventually. Have you had any tips or tricks that have helped you with math so far?
Yeah, actually, one thing that's helped me is breaking down problems step by step. I used to just try to get to the answer quickly, but now I take my time with each part. It's also helped to study with friends who are good at math. They can explain things in simpler ways. But honestly, some days feel like a real struggle. I'm just trying to push through.
That sounds like a good strategy. Sometimes it's all about slowing down and making sure you understand each part before moving on. And I agree, studying with friends is a game changer. It's great when you can help each other out, especially in challenging subjects. So, with all the classes we're taking and the work we're doing, how are you managing your time? I know college can get overwhelming, especially when there's so much going on.
Oh, time management is definitely key. I use a planner to keep track of everything. Every Sunday, I write down all the assignments, deadlines, and exams I have for the week, and I try to prioritize the most urgent tasks first. I also schedule time for breaks and fun things, like hanging out with friends or watching a movie. If I don't make time for those things, I get burned out really quickly. How about you? How do you stay on top of everything?
I'm with you on that. I've been using a planner too. But I also use an app called Todoist. It's really helpful for making to-do lists and setting reminders. I love that it syncs with my phone, so I can see what I need to do no matter where I am. I've also been trying to break my work into smaller tasks. For example, instead of saying, study for psychology exam, I'll break it down into, review chapter 1 notes, do practice questions, and watch lecture review video. It helps me feel like I'm making progress, even if it's just a small step at a time.
That's such a smart idea. I think breaking tasks into smaller pieces helps reduce the feeling of being overwhelmed. When you look at a huge project all at once, it's easy to feel like there's no way you'll get it done. But when you break it down, it's more manageable. I'll definitely try that. So, Emily, with all the studying and assignments, have you found any study techniques that really work for you?
Definitely. One thing that's helped a lot is active recall. Instead of just rereading my notes or textbooks, I try to test myself. I'll cover up the answer to a question and try to remember what I read or learned. It's amazing how much better it helps me retain information. Another thing I do is spaced repetition, reviewing material over several days or weeks instead of cramming everything in one night. It really works for me. Do you have any study habits that you swear by?
I've heard of active recall, but I've never really tried it. I might have to start. I usually take lots of notes during lectures and then rewrite them at home. I find that writing things down helps me remember better. I also listen to podcasts related to my subjects during my commute, which helps me review material in a more passive way. But honestly, I still need to get better at organizing my study time. Sometimes I wait until the last minute, and that's always stressful.
We've all been there. Procrastination is tough, but I think we're both doing our best to stay on top of things. And hey, it's okay if we don't get everything perfect. The important thing is that we're learning and improving along the way.
Definitely. College is all about learning from both the successes and the challenges. Even if things don't go perfectly, we're still growing and developing important skills. It's definitely a work in progress, but I think we're doing okay.
I couldn't agree more. Well, John, this has been such a great conversation about our college experiences. I think a lot of our listeners can relate to the challenges and the rewards of being a student. Any final tips you want to share with our listeners?
Yeah, just remember to take care of yourselves. College can be stressful, but it's important to make time for self-care, whether that's taking a break to watch a show, going for a walk, or just getting a good night's sleep. Don't forget that it's okay to ask for help, whether from professors, tutors, or even friends. We're all in this together.
Great advice. And don't forget to celebrate your progress, no matter how small it may seem. We're all learning, and every step counts. Thanks so much for chatting with me today, John. This was really fun.
Thanks for having me, Emily. It was great to talk about our classes and share some tips. And thank you to all our listeners for tuning in today. We hope you found this episode helpful and that it made you feel a little less alone in your college journey.
Definitely. Take care, everyone, and good luck with your studies. We'll see you next time.